The rite of steel, preparing for war in the ancient world. In the ancient kingdom of Theros, where rugged mountains met fertile plains, the art of war was more than a necessity. It was a tradition woven into the very fabric of life. Generations of warriors had defended Theros from invaders, protected its wealth of resources, and ensured the safety of its people. For the Therosians, preparing for war was as essential as the seasons. It was a cycle of training, unity, and ritual that bound them together. And as the drums of war once again echoed across the valley, Theros readied itself, calling upon the wisdom of its elders, the strength of its soldiers, and the ingenuity of its craftsmen. The first step in preparing for war was the calling of the Council of Blades, an ancient assembly of Therosian leaders, generals, and strategists who met in the high citadel overlooking the capital, Vera. The council was presided over by Queen Maya, a ruler known for her tactical brilliance and iron will. Alongside her stood the kingdom's most experienced commanders and advisors, each a veteran of battles past, who had spent their lives mastering the art of warfare. Together they would devise the strategies and battle plans needed to face the coming conflict, drawing upon their shared knowledge of enemy tactics, terrain, and ancient battle lore. One of the most crucial preparations was the training of soldiers. In Theros, every able-bodied citizen was expected to undergo basic combat training from a young age. Boys and girls alike learned the fundamentals of swordsmanship, archery, and unarmed combat, as well as discipline and endurance. But in times of war, this training intensified. The kingdom's soldiers, known as the Wardens of Theros, gathered in the Field of Iron, a vast training ground outside the city walls. There, they practiced day and night under the watchful eyes of seasoned instructors, drilling in formation, perfecting maneuvers, and learning to fight as one cohesive force. The Wardens of Theros were renowned for their shield wall, a powerful defensive formation in which each soldier locked shields with the one beside them, creating an impenetrable wall of iron and wood. This technique required strength, discipline, and absolute trust among the soldiers, and it was said that no enemy had ever broken a true Therosian shield wall. In the days leading up to war, hours were spent practicing this formation, honing each movement until the soldiers acted as a single, unbreakable unit. Meanwhile, in the heart of Vera, the kingdom's blacksmiths and artisans worked tirelessly in the forge quarter. The Therosians prided themselves on their weaponry and armor, which were crafted with skill passed down through generations. Blacksmiths stoked roaring fires, heating iron and bronze to forge swords, spears, and axes. They hammered metal into durable breastplates, helmets, and shields, each bearing the crest of Theros, a hawk in flight, symbolizing strength and vigilance. Armorers sharpened blades to a fine edge, ensuring that each weapon was battle-ready. These tools were not merely objects. They were extensions of the warrior's body and spirit, forged with care and reverence. Preparing for war also involved securing supplies and provisions. Theros had a vast network of farms, fields, and granaries where the people worked tirelessly to produce the food needed to sustain the kingdom's armies. Grain was harvested and stored, salted meats and dried fruits prepared, and water sources were fortified. The logistics of feeding an army were complex, and the Quartermaster's Guild managed the distribution of supplies, ensuring that the wardens would be well nourished and resilient for the trials of battle. This preparation reflected the understanding that an army marched not just on courage, but on its ability to endure and survive in harsh conditions. In the ancient culture of Theros, war was not simply a matter of tactics and tools, it was also a spiritual undertaking. The Therosians believed that each battle was watched over by the spirits of their ancestors, and before going to war, they would perform the rite of steel, a solemn ritual invoking the blessings of these spirits. The people would gather at the temple of Iros, god of war and protection, where the high priestess led them in prayer, offering sacrifices of wine and grain to honor the ancestors who had fought before them. During the Rite of Steel, each warrior received a ceremonial blessing, their weapons anointed with sacred oils and their shields marked with protective symbols. The high priestess would lay her hands on each warrior's shoulders, whispering words of courage and fortitude. This ritual was deeply respected, and every soldier left the temple with a sense of purpose, carrying the strength of their ancestors into battle. One of the final preparations was the selection of the war heralds, elite messengers trained to carry critical information across the battlefield. These swift riders, chosen for their agility and bravery, bore messages from the commanders to the troops, ensuring coordination even in the chaos of battle. The war heralds were equipped with light armor and fast horses, allowing them to weave through enemy lines and deliver orders with unmatched speed. They were entrusted with the kingdom's most vital messages, and their role was as honored as that of any warrior. As the day of battle approached, the people of Theros prepared their final farewells. Families gathered to bid goodbye to their loved ones, soldiers offered words of encouragement to one another, and the queen herself visited the barracks, speaking to her troops with a powerful resolve. Queen Maya understood that her presence inspired hope and unity. She reminded them of their duty, their loyalty, and the legacy of Theros. She stood before her soldiers, holding high the sword of Theros, a legendary blade passed down through the royal line, a symbol of their shared strength. At dawn, with their armor gleaming in the first light and their weapons at the ready, the wardens of Theros marched forth. They moved as a single disciplined force, their hearts steady and their minds clear. The drums of war echoed across the valley as they made their way to the battlefield, a sight both terrifying and awe-inspiring to behold. Each soldier felt the weight of their duty, the pride of their heritage, and the power of their training. They knew that, whatever the outcome, they were part of something greater, a tradition that stretched back through the centuries, a legacy they would defend with every ounce of strength. And so, the people of Theros went to war, bound not only by armor and steel, but by the spirit of their ancestors, the wisdom of their leaders, and the fierce unity that made them unbreakable. They carried with them the lessons of preparation, the power of ritual, and the strength of a kingdom united. As they faced their foes, they stood not only as warriors, but as protectors of their homeland, and as guardians of the ancient traditions that had forged them into the proud people of Theros. The wardens of Theros knew that they fought not merely for victory, but for the survival of their heritage, their families, and the sacred lands they called home. With every step, they felt the weight of history on their shoulders, the echo of past battles, and the unyielding gaze of the ancestors who had fought before them. As the armies clashed on the battlefield, their training, unity, and unwavering spirit forged them into an unstoppable force. Together, they would defend the honor and legacy of Theros, ensuring that future generations could walk the same ancient paths in peace. The people of Theros believed that even if the body fell, the spirit of a warrior endured forever, woven into the heart of the kingdom they served.